You ever had a cop neighbor knock on your door and tell you, "Dead serious, quit your job"? Now, I laughed. Until 1 week later the FBI raided my office. And that's when my nightmare started. I was making coffee in my tiny kitchen when I heard the knock. It wasn't the kind of knock you ignore, heavy, deliberate, like the person on the other side needed me to answer. I opened the door, and there he was, Officer Mark, my neighbor. Now, Mark isn't the friendly wave and smile type of cop. He's more the silent, intimidating type. Always in shape, always watching. He leaned against my doorframe, and for a second, I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. "Hey," I said, trying to keep it casual. Mark didn't smile. Instead, he lowered his voice, almost like he didn't want anyone else in the hallway to hear. "You need to quit your job tonight." I froze. My first thought, is he drunk? But no, his eyes were sharp, serious. The kind of look that makes your stomach twist. "What?" I laughed nervously. "Why the hell would I do that?" He took a step closer. "Listen to me. Walk away from that office. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Now, here's the thing. I work at a financial consultancy firm in downtown Chicago. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. Mostly spreadsheets, clients, boring meetings. Nothing that screams quit before it's too late." I tried to joke it off. "What, you heard the coffee machine sucks or something?" He didn't laugh. He just stared at me, then muttered, "I'm serious. You don't want to be in that building next week." And with that, he walked off, leaving me standing in my doorway like an idiot, wondering what the hell had just happened. For the next few days, I couldn't shake it. His words kept replaying in my head. "You don't want to be in that building next week." What was he hinting at? Was this some cop scare tactic? Did he know something about my boss? By day 3, paranoia had sunk in. Every time I walked into the office, I scanned the place like I was expecting bombs strapped under the desks. Nothing looked off, just Karen gossiping near the printer, Tim pretending to work while browsing eBay, my boss screaming into the phone about unrealistic expectations. Business as usual. But then I started noticing small things. One evening, I stayed late finishing a client report. Around PM, I saw 2 men in suits slip into my boss's office. They weren't clients, I know all of them. These guys looked official. The kind that don't smile, don't carry briefcases, just clipboards. They were in there for maybe 15 minutes, then they left. No handshake, no small talk, just gone. The next morning, my boss was in a weirdly good mood. Too good, like he'd just gotten away with something. "Big things coming, guys," he told the whole team. "Stay focused, stay sharp." His grin gave me chills. Later that night, I bumped into Mark again in the parking lot. He didn't even say hello. He just looked at me and said, "Why are you still going in?" I shrugged. "Because I like paying rent, maybe." He clenched his jaw, muttered something under his breath, and walked away. And that's when the anxiety really hit. My job had always been just a job. Now it felt like I was walking into a ticking time bomb every morning. By Friday, I was exhausted. I kept telling myself it was all in my head. Maybe Mark was screwing with me. Maybe I'd misunderstood. But deep down, I knew he wasn't the type to joke. That weekend, I told myself I'd forget about it. Just relax, watch Netflix, have a beer. But the problem is, once a cop tells you to quit your job like it's a matter of life and death, you can't just relax. I didn't know it yet, but by the following Thursday, I'd be staring down a line of FBI agents storming my office. And suddenly Mark's words would make terrifying sense. By Monday morning, the tension in the office was like static in the air. Nobody else seemed to feel it, just me. Everyone was laughing at dumb jokes, sipping burnt coffee, gossiping about Karen's new haircut. But every time I looked around, I felt like I was standing on a trapdoor about to give way. And then the whispers started. It began with a hushed phone call I overheard while grabbing papers from the copy room. My boss, Mr. Allen, was on the phone, his voice low, urgent. "Yeah, no, the numbers won't match up unless we move them before Friday. Don't worry about the auditors, I've got that handled." I froze mid-step. Move what? Auditors? It didn't sound like the usual client's late payment kind of issue. It sounded bigger, riskier. When he noticed me hovering, he slammed the phone down like I'd just caught him naked. "Need something?" His fake smile looked like it was stitched onto his face. Just toner," I mumbled, grabbing the box and retreating like a coward. That night, I couldn't sleep. Mark's warning kept ringing in my ears. What if my boss was hiding something? What if this was the storm that was coming? The next day, things got weirder. A coworker of mine, Jenna, pulled me aside. "Hey, do you know what's going on with payroll?" My paycheck bounced. I frowned. Like, it didn't clear? Yeah, and I'm not the only one. Tim said his was late too. Something's going on, I can feel it. I laughed nervously, but deep down, I felt sick. If paychecks were bouncing, it meant money was tight. But our firm had plenty of clients. Where the hell was the cash going? By Wednesday, rumors were everywhere. People whispered near vending machines, side-eyed the boss's office, speculated about restructuring and downsizing, and then came the delivery. 2 men in gray uniforms wheeled in 3 heavy boxes. No labels, no explanation. They didn't look like regular couriers, more like contractors. They pushed the boxes straight into Mr. Allen's office, shut the door, and left without a word. The boxes stayed there, locked away. That evening, I found myself standing outside Mark's apartment. I wasn't planning to, my legs just carried me there. When he opened the door, he didn't look surprised, almost like he'd been waiting. "You're still there," he said flatly. "Yeah, and now payroll's bouncing." There are boxes in Allen's office. "Mark, what the hell is going on?" He hesitated, glanced up and down the hallway, then pulled me inside. His apartment smelled like coffee and old leather. On his table lay stacks of files, some marked confidential. "Listen," he said, lowering his voice. "I can't give you details, but your boss is being investigated, and not just by us. By people higher than me." I blinked. "Investigated? For what?" Mark shook his head. "Money laundering. Fraud. Maybe worse. That office is a front, and you're standing in the middle of it." My stomach dropped. The whispers, the phone call, the boxes, it all started fitting together in a terrifying puzzle. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because you're clean. You don't want your name tied to this when it blows up. And it will blow up." He looked me dead in the eye. "Walk away before Thursday." Back at my apartment, I couldn't stop pacing. If he was right, the entire company was a house of cards built on dirty money, and I was sitting at a desk on the top floor, waiting for it to collapse. But leaving wasn't simple. Rent, bills, my car loan, all of it tied to this paycheck. If I quit now, I'd be broke in a month. But if I stayed, I might end up in handcuffs. By Thursday morning, the office felt different. People were restless, anxious. Even Karen wasn't gossiping. Mr. Allen walked around with that fake grin, telling us everything's under control, which only made it worse. I glanced toward his office door, at the 3 mysterious boxes still sitting there. My hands itched to know what was inside, and that's when I made the stupidest decision of my life. I decided to find out. Now imagine what happens next. But before that, smash that like button and hit subscribe, cause the craziest part is just getting started. Thursday evening. The office was almost empty, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like dying FLIs. Most people had already gone home, too drained from the week to stick around. But not me. I lingered, pretending to finish reports. My eyes kept darting toward Mr. Allen's door. The 3 boxes sat inside, silent and ordinary looking. But I couldn't shake the thought that they were ticking bombs. At 6:47 p.m., I heard the click of Allen's shoes as he walked out of the office. He smiled that fake politician smile at me. "Burning the midnight oil, huh?" "Yeah, just wrapping up," I muttered. "Good man," he said, before vanishing down the hall. The second the elevator dinged, I was on my feet. My heart pounded as I pushed open his office door. The smell of his cologne, too sweet, too heavy, clung to the air. The boxes were stacked neatly in the corner. No labels, no company logos, just plain brown cardboard sealed with thick tape. I hesitated. My hands trembled. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was trespassing. Maybe even something worse. But the memory of Jenna's bounced paycheck, Mark's warning, and Alan's shady phone call drove me forward. I grabbed the box cutter from his desk drawer. The sound of the tape tearing was deafening in the silence. Inside the first box, buried under packing paper, were stacks of envelopes. I pulled one out. My throat went dry. Each envelope was stuffed with cash. Neat, organized, bundled. Tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. I ripped open another envelope. The bills were crisp, sequential, like they'd just come from a bank. I shoved them back in, my mind racing. Why would a law firm have this? I forced myself to check the second box. This one was different. Instead of cash, it held folders, invoices, contracts, wire transfers. Except the numbers didn't make sense. Clients I knew had closed accounts months ago, but here were fresh transactions under their names. Fake clients, fake money, real fraud. I snapped photos with my phone, my hands sweaty, my heart hammering. Each click of the shutter felt like a gunshot. Then I heard footsteps. I froze. Voices drifted down the hallway to men, deep, low, unfamiliar. They weren't employees. I shoved the papers back into the box, resealed it as best I could, and ducked behind the desk just as the office door swung open. Two men walked in. One was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark coat. The other was slimmer, bald, with sharp eyes that scanned the room like a hawk. Alan said, "It's all here?" The bald one asked. "Yeah," the other replied, tapping the boxes. "Pick up tonight, move before the feds sniff it out." My stomach dropped. The feds. Mark was right. The bald man crouched, slicing one box open. He checked the cash, nodded. "Clean, let's move it." They lifted the boxes with practiced ease, like this wasn't their first time hauling dirty money. I held my breath, praying they wouldn't notice the slightly torn tape or the phone sticking out of my pocket. My heart beat so loud I was sure they could hear it. Finally, after what felt like hours, they carried the boxes out. The door clicked shut. I stayed crouched for a full minute before I dared move. My legs shook as I stumbled out of the office, adrenaline screaming through me. That night, I called Mark. He picked up on the first ring. "You shouldn't be calling me. I saw it," I blurted. "The cash, the fake contracts. Two guys came and took the boxes tonight." Silence. Then, "Damn it, you've crossed a line, kid." "What do I do?" My voice cracked. "You've got evidence now. Keep it safe and stay invisible. If they even suspect you touched those boxes, you're done." "Done how?" I asked. He didn't answer. Friday morning, the office was buzzing. People whispered louder now, more openly. Alan strutted around, pretending everything was normal, but his tie was crooked and his face was shiny with sweat. "Big weekend ahead," he told us, clapping his hands. "Rest up, team." Nobody believed him. Around noon, I got an email from unknown sender. No subject, no body. Just one attachment, a photo. It was me, in Alan's office. Opening the box, my stomach dropped. My hands went cold. Someone knew. Friday night, I sat in my apartment staring at the photo on my laptop screen. My own face, frozen in that split second of stupidity, tearing open the box like a thief. I couldn't stop sweating. Whoever took that picture hadn't just caught me snooping. They wanted me to know I was caught. The email had no reply address, no subject, just that one photo. I checked the metadata, wiped clean. Whoever sent it knew what they were doing. At 11:23 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. "We saw you. Stay quiet or your paycheck won't be the only thing that disappears." My stomach twisted. I dropped the phone like it was hot metal. I wanted to call Mark, but every instinct screamed, "Don't drag him further in." I couldn't even sleep. Every sound outside my window felt like footsteps. Every car that slowed near my building made my chest tighten. By Saturday morning, I was running on 3 hours of restless sleep. I checked my email again. Another message waited. This time, it had a subject line, "Secret business," inside a single sentence. "You're smarter than you look. Let's see if you're smart enough to keep your mouth shut." Attached was another photo. Not me this time. It was Jenna, my coworker. She was walking home, headphones in, completely unaware. The timestamp was from the night before. I nearly threw up. Whoever these people were, they weren't bluffing. I spent the entire weekend locked in my apartment, blinds drawn, laptop on my knees. My brain spun in circles. If I stayed silent, maybe I'd be safe. But if the feds were already sniffing around, maybe I was their only shot at proof. Either way, Alan and his shadowy partners now had eyes on me. On Sunday night, I cracked. I texted Mark, "Me, they know." They sent photos, not just of me. "Mark, delete this conversation. Now." "Me, what do I do?" "Mark, you don't do anything. You stay alive. Let me handle the rest." Then he stopped replying. Monday morning, I dragged myself into the office, pale and shaking. Alan was there, grinning like he had just won the lottery. "Rough weekend, kid?" he asked, clapping me on the back. I flinched. Did he know about the photos? Did he send them? Every second I spent near him felt like playing Russian roulette. By lunch, I'd made a decision. If I was going down, I needed allies. I printed out 2 of the fake contracts from the photos I took. I stuffed them into an envelope and left the building. I didn't go to the cops. Not yet. Instead, I went to Jenna. She opened her apartment door, surprised. "What are you doing here?" I shoved the envelope into her hands. "Read it." She frowned, pulled out the papers. Her eyes widened. "Alan stealing money, fake clients, fake invoices. And whoever he's working with, they're dangerous." She looked at me like I was insane. Are you saying our boss is laundering money? I'm saying, I whispered, that if we don't play this smart, we're both screwed. Then I showed her the photo, the one of her walking home. Her face drained of color. Oh my god, that's me. Yes, I said. They're watching all of us. And just like that, I wasn't alone anymore. But I had no idea that telling Jenna was about to make everything 10 times worse. When I left Jenna's apartment that night, I thought maybe I had finally found an ally. But allies have a way of making you feel braver than you really are. And bravery, in situations like this, is just another word for recklessness. The next morning, Jenna was waiting by my desk before I even sat down. She had that wild look in her eyes, the kind that comes when someone's brain refuses to shut off all night. We can't just sit on this, she hissed, keeping her voice low. We need proof. More than these contracts. Something big. I glanced around. Alan was in his glass-walled office, sipping coffee like a king, scrolling through his phone. You don't get it, I whispered back. Proof doesn't matter. They already know we know. They're watching. Jenna's jaw tightened. She wasn't scared. She was pissed. Then let them watch. I'm not letting that asshole ruin my life. At lunch, she dragged me outside. Okay, she said, pulling out her phone. I've been looking at the company server logs. There's encrypted traffic, like hidden tunnels, files moving at weird hours. You don't move files at 3 in the morning unless you're hiding something. I blinked at her. How do you even know this stuff? She smirked. My brother's in IT. Guess who spent all night on a call with him? I couldn't tell if I was impressed or horrified. But that's when she said it. We're breaking into the office tonight. I laughed. Out loud. People stared. Are you insane? Do you want to end up in a dumpster somewhere? Her eyes narrowed. We don't need to break in. I already have a key card. Alan gave me one when he wanted me to come in after hours to help with reports. I kept it. That shut me up. At midnight, we were back at the office. The building felt like a tomb. Empty cubicles, humming lights, the smell of stale coffee hanging in the air. Jenna swiped her card, and the server room door clicked open. My chest was pounding so hard I thought the cameras could hear it. Inside, she plugged in a flash drive. Her fingers flew over the keyboard like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. Encrypted, she muttered, but if I grab the raw files? The screen froze. A pop-up appeared. Unauthorized access detected. Security alert. Every hair on my body stood up. The red light above the door began flashing. A siren wailed softly through the building. Jenna yanked the flash drive out. Run. We bolted through the hallways, shoes slapping against the linoleum. But as we hit the lobby, 2 men in suits stepped through the glass doors. Not cops. Not building security. I knew it instantly. They were Alan's men. Going somewhere? One of them asked, smiling to Wide. They herded us back upstairs like we were kids caught stealing candy. Alan was waiting in the conference room, sleeves rolled up, tie loose, like he'd been expecting us. He didn't even look mad. He looked amused. Well, he said, leaning back in his chair. Curiosity really does kill the cat, doesn't it? Jenna spat at him. You're a thief, a criminal, and you're gonna burn for this. Alan chuckled. Bold. I like that, but here's the thing, you're not gonna tell anyone. Because if you do, he slid a tablet across the table. On the screen was a live feed. Jenna's apartment, her bedroom. Her face went white. You sick bastard, she whispered. Alan leaned closer. His voice dropped. You two are mine. You breathe because I allow it. One wrong move, and your lives end in ways you can't even imagine. I wanted to fight, to flip the table, but my body wouldn't move. Fear had me chained to the chair. Alan smirked, stood, and walked out. The 2 suited men followed. The moment they were gone, Jenna whispered, we're screwed. I shook my head, heart racing. No, we're in deeper now, which means the only way out is through. And I swear, in that moment, I made the dumbest or maybe the bravest decision of my life. We were going to take Alan down, or die trying. I couldn't sleep after that night. Every sound outside my window felt like footsteps coming for me. Every shadow on the wall looked like Alan's men. Jenna wasn't doing any better. She showed up the next morning with dark circles under her eyes, clutching to coffees like they were lifelines. We can't live like this, she said. Her voice was sharp, almost shaking. If we stay quiet, we're dead inside. If we speak up, we're just dead. I stared at her. So what's the third option? Her lips pressed into a thin line. Then she whispered, we go bigger. We go federal. It sounded insane. Going to the feds meant dragging Alan's empire into the light, and if we failed, we wouldn't just lose our jobs. We'd vanish. But Jenna already had her phone out. My brother gave me a contact, someone in cybercrime, not just a desk jockey, a real investigator. I hesitated. And you trust him? She met my eyes. Do we have anyone else? That evening, we sat in her apartment with the blinds shut, whispering like conspirators in a spy movie. Jenna dialed the number. A gravelly voice answered, Agent Miller. Her hands shook, but she pushed forward. We have information. A company laundering money, blackmail, surveillance. Their stop. Miller cut her off. This line isn't secure. Meet me tomorrow. Noon. Caf Orlin, corner of 8th and Main. Don't bring devices. Click. We sat in silence. My heart felt like it was trying to climb out of my chest. We're really doing this, Jenna muttered. I nodded, though every instinct screamed at me to run. The next day, the caf smelled like burnt espresso and old wood. We sat at a corner table. A man in a gray coat slid into the booth across from us. Mid-40s, hard eyes, the kind that had seen too much. Miller, he said, extending a hand. We shook. He leaned forward. Tell me everything. Jenna spilled it all, the fake contracts, the secret servers, the threats, the cameras in her apartment. Miller listened without blinking, scribbling notes. Finally, he said, You've stumbled onto something bigger than you realize. This isn't just your boss. There are layers. People above him. Dangerous people. I swallowed hard. So you'll help? Miller's jaw tightened. He looked around the caf, then back at us. I'll try. But understand this, if Alan knows you're talking to me, I can't protect you. My stomach dropped. Then Jenna asked the question I didn't dare. Can we take him down? Miller hesitated just a second too long. Then he forced a thin smile. Maybe, if you're careful. As we left the caf, Jenna grabbed my arm. Did you see that? The pause. He's not telling us everything. I tried to calm her. He's a Fed. They never tell you everything. But deep down, I felt it too. We weren't just fighting Alan anymore. We were in the middle of something so much bigger. And once you're in this deep, there's no way back. The night after meeting Miller, I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on me. Even at home, the air felt poisoned. Jenna texted at a.m. We did the right thing, right? I stared at the screen, unable to reply. By morning, everything exploded. When I got to work, Alan's office was empty. No secretary, no guards, just silence. A note sat on his desk, don't trust anyone. My stomach dropped. I ran outside just as the black SUVs pulled up. Men in suits spilled out. At first I thought feds, safety. Then I saw it, Alan, stepping out of the car, shaking hands with Agent Miller. My world shattered. Jenna arrived minutes later, froze when she saw them together. Her face went white. Alan spotted us. His smile was sharp as a knife. Thought you were clever, huh? Running to the government. Hate to break it to you, I am the government. At least the part that matters. Miller's cold stare locked on me. No regret, no shame, just business. Jenna's voice cracked. So what now? You kill us? Alan chuckled. Kill? No, dead people are loud. Missing people? Much quieter. The men in suits moved closer. My pulse hammered. This was it. Then Jenna did something insane. She pulled her phone from her pocket and screamed. Smile for the live stream. Shoals. Alan's face drained of color. What? She'd hit the button before entering. Thousands of people were already watching. Alan, Miller, the men, their threats. All of it broadcast in real time. Chaos erupted. One of the men lunged, but I shoved a chair into him. Screams, shouts, people rushing to record. In seconds, the whole caf turned into a storm. Alan hissed, grabbing Miller's arm. We're leaving. Now, they bolted. But it was too late. The internet doesn't forget. Weeks later, headlines everywhere, CEO and agent exposed in massive corruption scandal. Alan vanished. Miller retired. The empire crumbled. But the victory tasted bitter. Jenna left the city, saying she couldn't breathe here anymore. I stayed, haunted by shadows in every corner. We weren't heroes. We weren't safe. We just survived barely. And sometimes, that's the only ending you get.